Hello there, thank you for staying with us and welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias. Now, in the last 10 years, there has been increased attention on issues that matter to girls amongst governments, policymakers, and the general public, and more opportunities for girls to have their voices heard on the global stage. Yet, investments in girls' rights remain limited, and girls continue to confront a myriad of challenges to fulfilling their potential, made worse by the concurrent crisis of climate change, COVID-19, and humanitarian conflict. On the program today, in commemoration of the 10th anniversary of the International Day of the Girl Child, with the theme, Our Time is Now, Our Rights, Our Future, we'll take a look at how past themes have been implemented, the progress made, and what this year's theme hopes to achieve. We will also be looking at some developments in the tech ecosystem. But let's first take a look at the trends in the past week.
There was widespread jubilation as terrorists released the 23 remaining captives from the Abuja-Kaduna train attack. The terrorists who attacked the train in Kaduna had before now released hostages, peace bill, with the last release being on August 19, 2022. The unprecedented attack had attracted international and national outrage. President Muhammadu Buhari has since paid a visit to the released victims while thanking the military for the concerted efforts in getting them released. In what was a counter to the Obedient Movement's rally, MC Oluomo mobilized a 5 million man march for the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Tinubu, also in Lagos. They marched from the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Surulere through Barracks, Fadiyi, Ikorodu, and shut down the Bolade axis of Oshodi as musicians and Nollywood actors showed support for the candidacy of Senator Tinubu. Nigerians joined other Muslim faithful around the world to celebrate the birth of Prophet Muhammad, also known as Int'l. As part of the celebration, the Nigerian government declared Monday as public holidays, as the main event fell on Saturday, October the 7th, and ended on the 8th.
Well, there you go. Those were some of the trends in the past week. But joining us to look at today's topic in the studio right here in Lagos is Mercy George Igbafe. She is an executive board member of Women in Agile and convener of Women in Agile Africa. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much.
Of course. We also have joining us from our Abuja studio, Jeremiah Hussaini. He is the founder and executive director of the Begotten Educational Foundation. It's a pleasure to have you as well on the show. Well, there you go. That's Jeremiah. I'm sure we'll sort out the technical issues we have at the moment and, of course, get back to him. But let me come back to you, Mercy. Again, happy International Day of the Girl Child. But let's, before we go into this year's theme, let's kind of backtrack a little bit, into when this celebration started 10 years ago. How far has it been? How far has, the themes gone in implementing or, giving the girl child that space and motivation she needs?
I believe that the girl child right now, the emphasis is that we have a voice, we can be heard, we can be seen. We are visible. I watched on one of the TV stations the other day, and some 4 guys were talking and said, now, is it taboo to say I'm a man? That should be looked at like, what are you talking about? I think the girl voice now, child, their voice is being heard. Not just in Nigeria, globally, in Africa, internationally. Take a look at what is happening in Iran. Their voices are heard. Yeah. Taking off their hijab, tearing it out. And you can see, with regards to Afghanistan extraction from there, the concern was for the girl child that has been seen and been heard internationally. But is it enough? It's not enough. Yes, our voices are heard on social media loud. Our voices are heard on hashtag loud. Our voice are heard with a lot of the impact, social cause that we're embarking on. Yep. But now, our voice is not heard when it comes to opportunity, which is very sad. Globally, I've said this on this platform before, which I'm so grateful that Channel always has me here. Globally, only 1% of global funding gets to women that are making a lot of impact. That makes it 10 times hard. Number one, women are nurturers. We're here to nurture. We're here to protect, to preserve, and to make sure we make provision available. Can I share my personal story?
Sure, quick.
Yes.
Quickly, yeah.
So for me, being in the tech space, and I like the fact that you made emphasis to women in Agile being on the board, it's quite fascinating that my journey has been nothing short of difficult. I lost my mom going to my 14th year. I was pregnant, raped by someone that was within my environment. Life was incredibly tough. My father rejected me, and he made it very difficult for me as a person to have a voice, to be seen, to be heard. And because I had a child, I became stigmatized, or a lot of people just felt that I didn't deserve a space. You know, when they're looking at people that are the posh, the elite, I'm not considered. But see, one thing that I did not give anybody power to take away from me was my confidence. I made sure my confidence was loud. You know, it doesn't matter where I find myself. I have to be heard, I have to be seen. There are so many women within this demography that don't have access to social media, that don't have access to support. All I needed at that point was support. But do you know the people that helped me through the cause are men? There aren't a lot of women. Women, that's when they want to talk down on you, make you feel little. But
Yeah, but why is that? Because I mean, it would be like a natural for women to help women, and you know, we also hear about how we have, like you said, your voices are heard on social media, so we hear about campaigns and calls, for women to support women. I mean, so why do we have
now,
instances like this?
The instances like this that affect a lot of millions of women like myself that don't have a voice, or that are not trying to be exploited with their stories, okay, for clout or for whatever. That the reason that is, when you see women supporting women, is more on social media. I'll speak from Nigerian perspective. It's more on social media, raining hashtag, and they are usually the people that are successful. There are many, I didn't have access to social media. It was by God's grace that I graduated university because I didn't have support. But the people that really supported me through this course, I'm speaking for myself, and I've heard a lot of other women having the same challenges that I've had to go through, survive because there were men that wanted to take their chances and support those girls. Now, I think more needs to be done, funding-wise, for women that have businesses. Because an average, out of every 10 women that starts a business, maybe 1 or 2 survive because they have support. What happens to the rest of the women that started businesses and fail? And the thing is, we are more resilient in nature, that we are not afraid to even take a chance. We constantly reinvent, reposition, try again. I'm in the tech space. I've just gotten into the space. Is not a long time from now. Just literally 6-7 years ago. But I've dominated. Now the international, which is very different trajectory. In the international scene, more women help more women. But locally, it's not the case. But we are helping.
So in your own case, how many have you helped? Because you said you've dominated.
I've helped. Okay, now, on my program, I can guarantee you 75% of people that have gone through my program are women. 50% of those I have personally sponsored just to get tech skills and get opportunity. I'm currently running a mentoring program that I'm mentoring women. There's one that called me, Mercy, I've lost my job in the last 6 years. I've told her, don't worry, don't pay. Sign up for the program and I'll mentor you for free and give you the coaching. So there are lots of women that personally I've helped because I've gone through that same situation.
And you don't want them to go through.
Absolutely.
Let me 30 seconds.
Let me try and wrap up.
Yeah.
The issue is there is hope. It's not all doom.
And
as part of Lentor's mission to help the girl child leverage tech to learn education, which is today, I'm offering 10 person to go on the website to go and sign up for free. And besides that, it's not just the government alone. Every stakeholder is involved, me, you, and I. We have a role to play to move the conversation forward in helping the girl child learn the skills that will give them a global edge, not just for today, but for tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Indeed. Thank you very much. And I hope that they'll take, this opportunity and grab it with all hands and, of course, take advantage of it as well. Thank you, Mercy George, for joining us on the show. Now, moving on, a lot has been said on the importance of digital economy in the country, especially in the technology ecosystem. the role of digital enablers and transformers also, as well as the opportunities available therein. Joining us to look at this, we have with us Temi Tokwe Oshunrinde. He is the Vice President for Marketing at Tizeti Networks. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
All right. Thank you, Victor. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, indeed. So let's kick off this conversation with what is going on currently in the digital transformation and economy space.
All right. Thank you. So the digital economy anywhere in the world is closely correlated with the state of technology adoption.
Yep.
So we have seen how technology globally and locally is transforming our ways of life, how we do things. Right now, it is easier to do anything or get anywhere or to have friends leveraging technology. We have apps like Google Search, we have e-commerce platforms, we have messaging platforms that take away the boundaries of time, of space, and enable us converge in this global village. And then coming home to Nigeria, we have seen how has followed innovative ideas. 2021, Africa raised $4 billion in capital. About 1.6 of that was raised by Nigerian startups. We also fortunately have a significant number of the unicorns coming out of Africa. And there are some drivers that we see that sort of improving technology adoption. We have to look at population. The total addressable market in Nigeria, 200 million, obviously is a huge boon in terms of talent.
Yeah.
In terms of markets. And then most of these people, about 140 million, are below 30 years. So the capacity to train them, mentor, education can potentially be a digital army. And then we have to look at the digital explosion and Nigeria, things that are happening globally coming into Nigeria.
Let me just, because you've talked about so much, but the key word for me, you just said now, if we look at this explosion, so pretty much there's this explosion going on, and if you look at it, I can go on and on to talk about, different initiatives, in terms of digital infrastructure in the country, but we didn't see all of this 5 years ago. So what exactly, is provoking all of these moves?
All right, so I think I'll look at it from the 4 core pillars that enabling digital transformation. So you have to look at infrastructure, whether it's broadband infrastructure or data center cloud infrastructure. Over the last 4 years, we have seen more activity in the broadband infrastructure space. Google recently launched in Nigeria and Togo. Totally in all now, we have about 6 submarine cables in Nigeria. They're offering 50 terabytes. But we still see some challenges that need to be improved in terms of last mile, middle mile infrastructure. We also have to look at data center infrastructure. We see recently Google again also announced a cloud data center in South Africa. And then we see the impact of this cloud and data center technology in terms of, because of the increased broadband penetration, mobile penetration, more people are coming online. There's a need to process, store and process this data. So there's a lot happening in that space. And then I also want to look at regulation. So the 4 I mentioned, infrastructure, regulation, talent, and capital. So in terms of regulation, there is good regulation. Traditionally, African regulators sort of have a police and thief approach. They only come with the hammer after you have heard. But we see increasingly more collaboration between operators and regulators. And then in Nigeria, we have different regulators regulating different industries. In my industry, we have the NCC that has been a very proactive and future-focused regulator. One of the things that I've done, obviously 5G, some of the licenses that come up, the launch of Equano, like I mentioned, and then capital. So startups, the most important thing for them is either they are making money or they are saving money or they're raising money. So startup is capital is very important, especially if you invest in the sexy infrastructure that is required. A lot of the capital that's flowed into Nigeria has mostly gone into fintechs.
Fintech.
There was even a post online by one of my colleagues that aside fintechs, what else do we have to offer? And
so like you said, aside fintech, what do we have to offer? Just as we wind this conversation down, quickly in 30 seconds to 1 minute, Nigeria 62, we just celebrated the independence. So what opportunities do you think others can also, put forward, that would help shape the next line of investments in the next decade now, to say, as we wind down? 30 seconds, please.
So I think there are significant institutional voice that still exists in Nigeria.
Yeah.
We have to improve, aside financial inclusion, we also have to improve healthcare inclusion. We have to build better broadband infrastructure. We have to do roads. And then the role of technology and capital and all these pillars I mentioned have to go into these new sectors, into these new places, and sort of revive them. And then obviously we have some improvements, some things that we believe are going to improve the space. We have the startup bill that we're waiting for the presidential assent. We have operators that are building more infrastructure like TZT. We recently announced plans to expand to additional states in Nigeria. So we believe that by bringing more people online within the develop and building right infrastructure, Nigeria can collectively participate and contribute to the emerging digital economy.
We can't wait for that to happen. Temi Tokwe Oshurinde, Vice President at TZT Networks. Of course, this conversation is one that we'll keep following to see when all of this would happen. But I have to say thank you to you for joining us on the show today and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you, Victor.
Of course, you're welcome. And that's the show this week. Thank you so very much for watching. I'm Victor Matthias. Happy International Day of the Girl Child again. Bye for now.